Hey guys, welcome back to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. I hope you guys had a wonderful week and are looking forward to your weekend, made some wonderful plans. Today, I'm reviewing the 5th episode of the Ewok show, The Traveling Jindas. It's the show that you, the fans, have asked me to watch and review for you guys, and I'm having a blast with it so far. Quick spoiler alert. Before I start talking about this episode, please be warned that there will be spoilers. I'll talk about the characters and the story, so if you don't want any spoilers, turn away now, go catch the episode. I hope you guys will return and we'll have an exchange. You'll drop a comment below, I'll get to respond, we'll compare our notes on what this show is all about. And as always, if you guys enjoy my work, I would really appreciate if you support my channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my future videos. I do a lot of book reviews, character highlights, gameplay footage, and stuff like this. Anyway, on with the review. We are talking about the Traveling Jindas. We're introduced in the beginning of the episode to a character called Latara, a young Ewok who wants to be a performer. She's practicing with her little flute, but unfortunately parents say, you gotta go and do your chores. So she's stuck in the room, it's messy, it's all over the place. Mom is leaving, she's like, oh, and by the way, after you clean, you also gotta look after your siblings. Little two baby Ewoks are running in. She has no way out. She can't join her friends. The boys are saying, hey, we're gonna go see the raft. Are you gonna come join us? Unfortunately, she can't. She's gotta do her chores. We skip to another part of Endor Moon. We are back to the swamps where the Dulok village is, and these villainous creatures are having a problem of their own. They need a babysitter for their own babies because the mother can't have it anymore. She's saying to the chieftain, look, if I'm not getting a babysitter to look after these little monsters, you're not getting your dinner. But of course, he can't have any of it. He calls up a couple of henchmen and he tells them, go to the Ewok village, grab me a babysitter. Right? Pretty standard stuff so far. And now we're finally introduced the big part of this episode, the Jindas circus comes to town. We see a whole caravan traveling into the Ewok village, led by this strange creature who's called Bando. He is obviously the leader. He's dancing, he's welcoming everyone. He's like, hey, the performance is here. The greatest travelers of Endor Moon are here, and you're about to join our and see our magnificent performance. But before he does so, he is polite enough to ask the Ewoks to stay in the village. He's like, is it okay if we stay? And one of the Ewoks, the lady Ewok, goes like, I think they're just the freeloaders. Should we accept them? Well, okay, because the Ewoks are noble creatures and they're good, you can stay just for one night. And so they do. And at night, we get our grand performance. We see a menagerie, a whole bunch of different exotic animals. Some of them look like squirrels. We see exotic dancers. Of course, all the boys are clapping. They're enjoying that aspect. And this weird magician who is doing tricks in there. And Latara is infatuated. She's like, oh my God, these are the performers. This is the showbiz, as they call it in the episode, funny enough. And she wants to join in. That's what she's dreaming about. She wants to be a performer. The following morning, she is sneaking away. She's a stowaway on the caravan. She goes inside one of these little boxes and she tells the boys, look, this is what I really want to do. Please don't tell anyone. It kind of makes you feel right there in this episode where things are going to go terribly wrong. At first, we see the Duloks. They go to the Ewok village, but they fail to capture her. And to be honest with you, I thought that's where it's going to end. Like, okay, they failed to capture her because the episode is going to lean into this whole adventuring with Jindas. And that's where it's going to take us. We will forget about the Duloks. She's saying goodbye to her friends. Right away, I felt a little bit alert and kind of worried. Like, what is she doing? She's not asking anyone's permission. The adults don't know where she's going. That's not a cool thing for a kid to do. I gotta give her, Latara is bold, she's brave, she knows what she wants, but she's not ready. Because as soon as they start traveling, Bando explains to her, he's not exactly the bad guy, he doesn't exploit her, but he tries to explain to her, like, look, we're traveling here, and believe it or not, we gotta do our chores here too. There's a lot of work. She complains a little bit that any child was like, hey, I thought it was gonna be just all fun and games. I'm here to perform, perfect my musical skills, and you guys are giving me more work than in the Ewok village. What's up? What's going on there? I gotta say, in that part of the episode, I almost started thinking for a moment, like, what if this circus is not what it appears, right? You shouldn't travel with adults that you don't know. Especially as this guy, later on in the episode, they don't know where they are. They get stuck and confused in the jungle. It's like, well, what the heck? We don't know where we are. We're completely lost because Litara begins to see this caravan for what it is. They sort of are a bunch of freeloaders. They're careless. They're just traveling and they don't mind anyone else's or their own business. It's just like completely lost. It doesn't seem to be like the lifestyle she wants to have. And her eyes are fully open when, coming night, they travel thicker into the jungle and they give a performance for these tree goats. And my immediate response upon seeing it was like, what the heck am I watching? This is so weird. This is so out there. But at the same time, it is so Star Wars because that's what the sci-fi show is meant to do. You're right, when you're traveling to this unexplored, mysterious, exotic galaxy. That's how a lot of planets and creatures are described in Star Wars. Exotic. It's sort of familiar. These are goats, but it's unfamiliar because they're chilling on the trees and they're kind of paying attention. I guess they're semi-conscious or sentient. They're kind of paying attention to like looking at the performance while chewing on their vegetation. It was just so funny, so out there. And Litara sees that little stupid magician's trick. Obviously, it's like it's all fake. She's like, oh, I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. And unfortunately, they can't because they're stuck. Anyway, in the village, the little Ewoks, the boys, are telling the villagers what happened, what's up. And old Ologray is telling him, hey, you got to go after her. You got to save her. And I'm going to give you something for your journey, this magical seed, right? The classic story motif. You see it in folk tales and European folk tales all across the board. He gives them this magical quest item. And he says, don't ever bring into contact with water, only as a last resort, only when you have to, and immediately run. Okay. The Ewoks start traveling the trail, and they see like, you see over here, there's a Jindas little piece of clothing or something like this. We are on the right track. Let's keep traveling. So in the village, Duloks are back. They're finally catching up with the caravan, and they're still bound on getting this babysitter. Really funny moment when they're dressing up as goats. They're putting little horns on there. I was laughing. I was like, man, what the heck is this? It's just so weird in the best possible sense. Just so goofy and corny. I love it, guys. Anyway, they're resourceful enough to snatch the Ewok, bring her back to the village. But as they're leaving the caravan, fortunately, our Ewoks made it on time to see what's going on. Because once again, I was a little bit worried here. I'm like, oh man, what's going to happen? What if they catch up to the caravan, but neither the caravan or the Ewoks know where she's at because she's been kidnapped and taken to a whole different place, to the swamp. Anyway, Ewoks are joining forces with the Jindas now, and they're saying, look, we got to go and get her. This, once again, was an element that I really liked because it sort of solidified the fact that the Jindas are benevolent creatures. They're not really bad. They didn't kidnap Litara. They was like, you want to come along? Please come along. They didn't really exploit her. They made her participate in a kind of a magician's trick, which it just turned out to be not what she expected it to be. Anyway, big deal. But they do join the Ewoks on this quest to rescue her. I was like, okay, they're the good guys. We know Ewoks are in good hands. They're going to prevail. We're back in the swamp. We are with Duloks. And the Dulok mom is super happy. She's like, oh my God, finally, you little Ewok, you better take care of my little kids. And you see these two little monsters run in and they start just fighting with her immediately. It's just crazy. But as that is happening, we see the caravan come to town. And I thought there would be some kind of fight breaking out right away. But no. This is a traveling circus. They know what they're doing, their performance. They know how to grab your attention. And surprisingly, Duloks will not say no to it. Because why? Because Mama Dulok, she's bored. She's like, I've been doing chores all day. I've been cooking for you guys. Now I want to see a performance. And the chief, there's nothing he could say. Mama said so. She's the woman in the house. She's the one who looks after all of them. She's like, okay, you're going to have your show. They start having a show. Of course, Duloks being these vile, nasty creatures that they are. They're throwing different rotten vegetables at the Bondo, at the leader of the circus, and they're booing them. But when Litara comes out, she starts performing. And it seems to kind of like calm them down a little bit. Of course, the exotic dancers make the most impression on the warriors, right? The Dulok, gangsters, the villains, the bad guys, like the males are like, oh yes, performance, that's good. They're enjoying that part. Litara comes out. She's trying to perform because they need a little bit of help, right? And they need a volunteer from the crowd. She's like, oh, okay, me? Really? They call her in. She tries to participate. She tries to be a part of this magician's trick, which obviously fails hard. All the Ewoks are dropping down. I'm like, oh man, okay, this is the big scene. This is where stuff is going to start happening. The Ewoks are running off the stage and they're into the woods. And who comes around and starts helping them? It's obviously the Bando. He's there to kind of like remedy the whole situation. What they have done, they're here to rescue the little girl. And he starts firing these little, what looked like Andor's version of carrots at the pursuers. They're like, okay, that's pretty cool. He has some skills. And of course, the menagerie, the animals are coming out and they're attacking the Duloks. That was pretty cool too. As the Ewoks are running away, one of them gets stuck in the pond. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Nisa, right? That's the one. I keep forgetting her name, right? I'm still pretty new to this show, only 5 episodes in, but she was really the cool one. I think I liked her the most so far. Nisa is stuck, and she's like, oh my God, guys, you guys leave me behind. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a pretty tense moment there, and what makes it work is the seed. Wicket is the one who grabs the seed. I thought he's going to do a little bit of the Return of the Jedi little like throw, but he just throws it in the river, in the pond, and these little vines comes out and they grab all the Duloks. And that's how the team is saved, right? They run off. And of course, at night by the fire, they got to say goodbye to their friends, the Jindas. And Litara basically explains that she has learned her lessons, that it was cool to travel for a little while, but she would rather be an Ewok and go home with everyone else. And that's how the episode ends. Guys, this was another enjoyable episode for me overall, but I gotta say, I gotta give it maybe a 3.5 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 score. I felt a little bit off compared to the previous episodes, and I'll explain why. First, the caravan. I don't know why, but for some reason, watching the live action version of Ewoks show, like the castle and the villains and the evil witch from that a part of the Ewoks storytelling, felt a little bit more native, like it belongs on Andor Moon. Even all the previous creatures, like the big family in the previous episodes, that still felt like part of Andor. With the traveling caravan, it's a little bit of a tougher sell. Like, if you look at the Ewoks, obviously they have material culture. They make weapons, they make huts, they have like some kind of like religion, right, as they follow. Because they started worshiping C-3PO at one point, and they have tradition, so they have culture. So it's kind of not a long stretch to believe that there may be other sentient species which also have culture. But it was a little bit too much when it's just like the circus comes to town. It was, I think, a little bit too close to reality, that we have too close to like modern day life in America. Like I imagine kids watching it in the 80s, for them, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever because they make this connection in an entirely different way. For me as an adult, and it's obviously how I'm watching it, it was just a bit of a harder sell. And the other part of this episode, why I got to give it 3 out of 4, is that it didn't have the action that the previous episodes have. All it had was the circus performance, which I can't qualify as action. And then there's just one snippet of it when the Ewoks escape the village, the swamp. That's it. I was like, oh, okay. I guess it's a more of a story-driven episode. It's still very enjoyable. I still had fun with it, but I gotta take it a notch down. After all, at the end of the day, I have to be a critic and I have to like analyze how I felt about it. How would I stack it up with the other episodes? This one just comes down just a little bit, so it gets a 3 out of 4 from me. But I would like to hear what you guys thought of it. Let me know in the comments below if this was your favorite episodes. Let me know definitely what you thought of the caravan and how they use like modern lingo. Hey, like Litara, it's part of the showbiz. There's work and play. You got to combine the two. It was a little bit weird of language happening there too. I'm curious what you guys thought of it. If you have kids, if your children saw it like this year or last, like just recently, I'm really curious how they're seeing it. Did it take them out of the experience? Or they were like, Ewoks, let's go. This is the show we're on. We're loving every episode. Let's go. with that criticism in mind, I still gotta reiterate, guys, I enjoyed this episode. I'm loving the show so far. I love the fact how overall consistent it is. Anyway, I hope you guys like this review. If you're looking forward to the next one, I will review episode 6 next Friday. I usually reserve these Ewok viewings of mine for Fridays, and I hope you guys will join me. Please consider subscribing, hit that bell button, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.